Hello again. This video is to introduce you to some important points from Chapter 4 by going briefly through a PowerPoint and also to discuss the Chapter 4 Dropbox assignment. As you can see, for Chapter 4, as part of the second week's work, there's the first Dropbox and an objective quiz, just two pieces of work. So I'll show you the Dropbox first, since you do get to look at it, think about it, and prepare. That's the nature of a Dropbox. Find 2 or 3 examples of Socrates' use of irony from the passages on page 107 to 110. There's a long passage of Plato's there. You should find the irony, explain why each example is ironic, and how successful the irony is. For Dropboxes, you can type it in the area, or it's preferred actually that you drop an attachment in there. That's the nature and why it's called a Dropbox. Please use Word, PDFs, or ODT files only. Please no Pages files, as those can be very difficult for me. Length guideline for Dropboxes is 2 pages minimum. Approximately 650 words minimum. So the explanation I'm about to do through the PowerPoint should help you understand and go with the book material on Socrates, go a little further with that material. So let's jump into it. Okay, so Socrates was lived during the time of Plato and Aristotle. Plato was Socrates' teacher. Socrates was Plato's teacher. Hence Socrates comes first in our textbook. He wrote nothing. He walked around Athens and talked, questioned, educated. He is, in fact, something of a creation of history, since he left no record of his thought, literally. Plato presents Socrates as a great historical figure and a great man. There were others who disagreed, and certainly a lot of attention has been paid to, as we're told, to Socrates' attractiveness. I don't like to dwell on that, but he didn't care for appearances, and that was absolutely clear in his life. He walked around barefoot a lot, and had a remarkable amount of self-control, or temperance, which was a virtue coming out of Greek times that meant to control the body, control your desires, eating, drinking, sex, etc., or things that are controlled by a temperate person. So he had a great amount of self-control, and he was claimed to have said that to have no wants is divine. Kind of similar in that respect to the Buddha, from one of the Asian sages, who was to have the goal of Buddhism is to try to get rid of your worldly and physical desires and control them. Again, he is one of our archetypal or paradigmatic individuals. And in this case, he is an incredible archetype for Western culture, in much the same way that in a religious context, listed here with him, this person had included Jesus. That is to say that in a philosophical context, Socrates is certainly one of our most famous representatives of this. Socrates shocked people with his questioning. and he did often use irony. Ironic utterances communicate on two levels of meaning, literal or what is actually said, and the hidden or real meaning behind it. So that's the goal or the task you have of for the Dropbox, is to use that long passage and find some irony and discuss it in an open-ended way. His method was question and answer, trying to draw out truth, and in that way, it is a famous version of dialectic, with which in a short way to describe it is that it just is a give and take of people discussing, trying to get a better definition or version of truth. The idea is that asking the question, such as what is justice, can have a benefit, even if we don't get a perfect, definitive answer. So, again, the passage from the Republic that is also in our book, Thrasymachus believes that might makes right, and Socrates famously shows that he can't really successfully defend that. And the way he does that is, one of the ways is by exposing a contradiction in Thrasymachus' position. So it's by Thrasymachus admitting that orders from rulers can mistakenly actually harm the rulers. So, the having power does not guarantee that you will always be able to protect yourself, in other words. He's famous for saying that the unexamined life is not worth living. Some interesting history, right? An oracle, that is a soothsayer, a voice of the gods, told Socrates that nobody was wiser than him, and he really couldn't believe it, and he spent pretty much the next 40 years, from age 30 to 70, trying to come to terms with it, and trying to see if he was indeed wise, and holding everybody else to try to be able to explain their own wisdom too. So, according to Socrates, what he did show was that lots of people did not necessarily know what they were talking about, and talking is key, because Plato wrote only dialogues, very different than what we're going to see from many other philosophers, including Aristotle. And Plato wrote so many dialogues with Socrates in them. A famous one being the Symposium. Some of the ones that or the Phaedo, the death scene of Socrates, often named after people who were competing or discussing with Socrates. Socrates called himself physician of souls, or the soul. So, and for the Greeks, a soul meant the interior, the psyche, really, the mental, and in our day we would call possibly the spiritual part of people. One of his more interesting takes was that he believed that no one knowingly does evil. That is, nobody does wrong and knowing that they're doing wrong, that they must just not know better. Aristotle is going to famously counter this, and they are two interesting takes on it that continue to this day to be extremely useful, differing views. The word virtue in Greek, it is arete, generally probably better translated as excellence. Socrates believed that virtue is a special kind of knowledge, and he believed that it was the essence of wisdom was to gain and continue to develop virtue. Techne, from which we get the word technical, technology, etc., is as we're going to see in this next slide, that techne is something that we need because it's practical. So in some sense, techne means some type of artistry or skill that people have, and yet, for people like Socrates, it meant, as it says here, a knowledge of what to do and how to do it. So Socrates was able to blend a lot of practical aspects into his thinking. Socrates is often called an intellectualist because he believed that actions arise from beliefs. That is to say, that what's inside of us comes out in our actions. And as I said before, virtue is wisdom for Socrates, that to be virtuous benefits us, and then and particularly virtue is good for the soul, which is what he cares about. Cares about our souls more than our bodies, and he shares that with Plato, as we're going to see. He was, as you've read, brought to trial, ultimately as kind of a scapegoat for the fall of Athens, and that he had made a lot of enemies, and he was too much of a free thinker. 501 jury members in his trial. Interesting to know how large the juries and other public gatherings were in ancient Greece. Given a death sentence, which he did carry out after a month, and willingly drank the hemlock, and became, in some sense, a very famous martyr for philosophy. Two-word mantra coming out of Socrates: know thyself. And as it says here, that is that we should gain knowledge or understanding. We should come to know ourselves, and that's how one of the main ways we can become better people. All right, well, that's a quick review of some specifics coming out of this PowerPoint that should help you with both the objective quiz and the Dropbox on Socrates. So I will sign off and see you with the next one. Thanks.